Tonight, a madman's rampage.
West 33rd Street at 5th Avenue. Several shots fired.
Pop, pop, pop.
We have two civilian shots. The person shot.
Boom, boom, boom.
A disgruntled former employee shot and killed a former co-worker.
He killed one person and at least 9 other people were shot.
At first, he didn't realize he was shot.
I was scared and in shock and literally shaking.
She was worried, am I going to lose my leg? Am I going to die?
I ask everyone to keep the victims in their thoughts and in their prayers. This is a terrible tragedy, and once again, there's an awful lot of guns out there.
The news is now. Hello, I'm Jody Applegate. Now your Pix 11 at 10. A fired worker executed his former boss during the morning rush hour in Midtown. Tonight we have brand new video of the shooting. Arthur Chen is working the story. He's live with the latest details. Arthur?
Jody, this was essentially a long-standing grudge that played out today, escalating into a firefight in front of the Empire State Building at rush hour. A police source tonight telling us in April of 2011, the two men today, the gunman and his intended victim, were involved in a physical fight. And at the height of it, the gunman said to today's victim, this is back in April of 2011, the words, quote, "I am going to kill you." Sometimes it's said in passion. Clearly this time it meant more.
We heard the shots being fired. There was the first shot, then there was a little bit of a pause, and then the rest of the shots were being fired, and just everybody ran for cover when that happened.
The chaotic moments are captured here in a video released by the police department tonight. 2 officers with their weapons drawn opened fire. 9 people would be injured. In total, 2 would be killed. The intended victim and the gunman, though still moving in some of our video, he would not survive his injuries.
10 shots fired. West 33rd Street at 5th Avenue. Several shots fired.
15 Central, as per division, they have multiple people shot in front of Empire State Building.
Information sparked over police radios. Units bolt for one of the busiest tourist attractions in the thick of rush hour. Just before 9 o'clock this morning, across the street from the Empire State Building, down here, was a man who was waiting, well-tailored suit and a fedora. At 9:03, a grudge that he had held with somebody exploded. The victim, 41-year-old Stephen Ercolino, shot at 3 times. A .45 caliber bullet to his head laid him out. A vice president of Hazan Import, a handbag manufacturer, a year ago he fired this man, 58-year-old Jeffrey Johnson. After being downsized, Johnson got in a shoving match with Ercolino in an elevator, an incident many will now reinterpret. With Ercolino on the ground on the street, the gunman then walked up 5th Avenue North and tried to blend in with the crowd.
He was walking the corner like very nonchalant. I guess he was trying to fit in the crowd or something.
Now, as he was walking away, the gunman was actually being followed by a construction worker, and the gunman came off the curb in this direction, and the video shows really what happened next. The video shows Johnson drawing his gun. The crowd scatters as the officers open fire on the crowded 5th Avenue.
Pop, pop, pop.
Boom, boom, boom. I was scared and in shock and literally shaking.
Every corner that I turned, there was a victim, and that's when I knew the count was high.
9 others would be injured. His arm in a sling, the first of them to be released from the hospital, acknowledges it was not Johnson who shot him.
One of the cops shot me in the arm.
The officers, both veterans of a very busy police precinct in the Bronx, have been placed on modified duty, as is the NYPD's policy. The video tonight suggests they had to act, a fact not lost on those caught in the fray.
If officers do nothing, then more life will be lost. So I would not necessarily hold anything against the police, because I think that what they were doing was in the defense of the life of the people. The combination of the 2 officers fired 16 shots, we're told, one officer letting 9 rounds go and the other one firing 7 bullets. A police source tonight acknowledges, aside from the victim who was killed, the 9 injuries may have all been caused from police fire, but emphasizing some of that may have been fragments in the melee that went on. We'll have to see how the rest of this plays out. They're supposed to be okay. We're live at the Empire State Building tonight. Arthur Chen, Pix 11 News. We now go to where some of them are being treated on the east side with Marvin Scott.
Arthur, of the 9 innocent bystanders who were wounded, 3 remain hospitalized tonight. They've been admitted here at Bellevue Hospital. 1 is being held. None of them has life-threatening injuries. 1 being held for observation for elevated blood pressure. Meanwhile, just up the block at the medical examiner's office lies the body of Stephen Ercolino. He was killed by a crazed former employee. One of 4 siblings, Ercolino was described as a loving great uncle tonight by his brother Paul, who learned of his death as he was enrolling his son at Syracuse University. In an exclusive phone interview with Pix 11 News, he told us the family right now doesn't know whether to feel anger or hate.
My world is devastated. He was just a loving guy. He just loved life. He was just a special person, and to think I'm not going to see him anymore is just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. And, we all don't know what to tell our children, what to tell each other. We're just a devastated family right now.
As Ercolino and his killer lay dead, dozens of others ran from the fusillade of bullets. 9 stopped in their tracks, just at the wrong place at the wrong time.
She just happened to be on her way to Dunkin' Donuts to go get a cup of coffee. How crazy is that?
They were going for coffee or simply heading for work when they found themselves in the crossfire of 20 bullets. Christopher Collins' friend Erica Solis was among those hit.
She was covering up her wound and trying to keep pressure on her wounds. So I was just there, trying to keep her calm. She was worried, am I going to lose my leg? Am I going to die? And I was just saying, no, you're all right. There's not a lot of bleeding. It's going to be okay.
The city's emergency response was immediate. Ambulances rushing to the scene, hospital emergency rooms at the ready to receive the wounded. Some of the victims were hit by stray police bullets.
I guess he shot the cops, one of them, and the cop shot him back, and one of the cops shot me in the arm.
Robert Asico, his arm in a sling, was quickly treated and released.
The way that got hit was the police officers, because the way the guy was standing, there was no way it would have been the guy.
Family members raced to Bellevue and New York Presbyterian Hospital, desperate to learn about their loved ones. Mayor Bloomberg came to Bellevue to comfort and console the victims. Ocelis Rosario was relieved to learn that sister-in-law Mariella, the mother of 2, was going to be okay.
Everything happened too fast because she can't even say nothing. She just felt the bullet go through her leg, and she got to the ground. Somebody grabbed her and, moved to the side. Luis
Loera said his sister was on the way to work when she heard the shots.
At first, she didn't realize she was shot. She heard the shots ring. She started, running across the street. Then she noticed that she, was shot.
Erica was reported to have a bullet lodged in her knee. Meantime, the 2 police officers involved in the shooting, they also were checked out here. They reported ringing in their ears, and they were checked out for heart issues. Meantime, Paul Ercolino told me tonight he and his brother, who's heading up from the Carolinas, will have a difficult task tomorrow. They'll be arriving at the medical examiner's office to claim their brother's body and to make funeral arrangements. We're live at Bellevue Hospital. Marvin Scott, Pix 11 News. Now let's get more on the story from Jay Dow in the newsroom.
Well, Marvin, very rarely do we get to see what happens in the moments leading up to a police-involved shooting. Surveillance video made that possible this morning, and it helps tremendously in this case when discussing the risks that are often involved for the public when officers rely on their instincts and their training. In the hours after Friday morning's fatal shooting in front of the Empire State Building, there were initial questions about the NYPD's response as 2 veteran police officers approached the gunman, Jeffrey Johnson, on the sidewalk. Why?
At least 9 other people were shot, and some may have been shot accidentally by police officers who responded immediately.
As soon as Johnson pulled his .45 caliber handgun, the officers drew their own weapons and seconds later opened fire in front of countless civilians.
Everybody that got hit was the police officers, because the way the guy was standing, there was no way.
So the question is, did the officers make the right decision?
Your life is in danger, your partner's life is in danger, the public's life is in danger, and no, it's not target shooting.
There is no easy answer, but retired NYPD Lieutenant Gary Wexler says based on what he's seen, the preliminary answer is yes.
The truth of the matter is the average gunfight lasts three seconds. The average gunfight is 20 feet or less. In most instances, 5 to 7 yards is where you're at. Time is certainly not on the police officer's side in many instances. You're talking split-second decisions.
There's an old saying, you don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Wexler says pulling a taser or some other non-lethal weapon to subdue Johnson would not have been the most effective option. Ultimately, the NYPD will make the call on whether, for the officers, this was a so-called good shooting. But surely internal investigators will take into consideration that while the officers were following Johnson on the sidewalk, they did not know at that moment if he was just after his former boss or out to kill as many people as possible. Jody?